So like before you watch the performance, let's say okay you want to silence the cell phones, or like you have to purchase the tickets, let's say. And then okay you will silence your cell phones. And after you watch the performance, if you like the performance, okay you may clap. And if in case if you don't like the performance, then you may make noise, you may demand for the refund, let's say assume. But at the end, okay, you have to leave the hall, whatever you do. At the end, finally, okay, you have to leave the hall. That is, you'll not be in the hall. Whether you like or not, okay, you will, at the end, you need to leave the hall. So, what we can do is, because these things, okay, we are doing it before. So, this is like at the rate before. Before you watch the performance, this is what you're doing. Silence your cell phone. This is also before you watch the performance. And then when you're watching the performance, this is your business method. And at the rate after, if you like the performance, then you may clap. And if in case at the rate after, this is like after returning, as if in case after returning, after the method is successful, so after you like the performance, successful execution, you will clap. And after throwing, let's say you don't like the performance, business method you never write in the main method. Business logic will be in some class. And at the rate after. So this is what we have. So this is your business method. This is your business method. It will be in some service layer. So at the rate watch performance you have, and at the rate before, and this is after returning is after successful, after the method is executed successfully. Let's say in between, okay, if you don't like the performance, if in case if any exception occurs, then after throwing will be executed, and at the rate after is equivalent to your finally. At the rate after is equivalent to finally. So that is what you're doing. Now let's say okay, you have written the code over here, public performance, and then public void perform, and then again you have created one performance aspect. This is your performance aspect. Let me delete all this stuff. So aspects, they are annotated with the at the rate aspect, and if you identified this, then at the rate component. And so first one what we have is public void purchase tickets. Fine. So this should be called at the rate before.
Atika, quick question. Yesterday when we are explaining in the slideshow about this aspect and advice, are they both linked, or are they both two different things, aspect
No,
and
no,
advice?
they are linked. So this class is your aspect. This class
Whatever we are
performance
reading, our
performance
advice.
aspect. Listen, performance
Okay.
aspect is called as an aspect, whereas the methods are is called as advice.
Oh, okay.
The class is
Thank you.
called as an aspect, and the methods what we are writing in the, inside that is called as advice. Clear?
Advice. Yeah, it's clear.
So execution of mm, a void perform what did we write over here? It is okay, fine. I was waiting for this only. Correct. So, so this will be executed before. So this is one. Let us keep the another public void. What did we write next? Silence cell phones. This is out. Oh, what happened? Fine. And public void upload. After, because over here we are writing it before and before two times. So this is the order. Let us check okay, whether it executes or not as per the what do you say, as per the Spring configuration. You cannot specify the order. I'm just checking that. Purchase tickets, silence cell phones, performance, and then clap. So this is the method. Before performance claps is executed, first you have purchase tickets, then silence cell phones. And after the performance is executed, you are having clap method executed. Because we have got two before methods, whereas this performance aspect. Because we have got two before methods, that is why okay, I want first purchase tickets to be executed and then I want the silent cell phones to be executed. That is the reason again we are specifying the order. Let us remove this and execute it. Then check the order. Anyway, it is getting executed in the same order. One minute. ABCD, purchase tickets, silence cell phones. So for this one, now let us keep the ordering for this at the rate order. Two and let us keep this as third order. Let us go to this performance test and right click and run as Java application. Over here you see again this doesn't work. So by this, okay, what you can make out is if in case if you're having many methods on which okay, you're applying at the rate ABCD annotation, this ordering doesn't work because it has to be applied on aspects, not on advices. It is executing in the alphabet order, first A, then S, and then P. Now let's say okay, you want to watch the performance. The code what you have to execute is watch the performance. So before you watch the performance, you have to purchase the tickets and then silence the cell phones. And after returning, that is after successful execution, then you will clap it. And if in case after throwing is any exception, if in case like if you don't like the performance, any exception occurs, in that case after throwing will get executed, and at the rate after will get executed after the method completes the execution finally. So after returning is after watch performance method is executed, and after throwing is if watch performance methods throws an exception, and after finally you if in all the cases it will get executed after the method completes the execution. Whether it is successful or not, it doesn't matter. At the rate after will get executed finally. It is similar to the finally block. That is whether the exception occurs or not, finally block is always executed. Similarly, the method that is annotated with at the rate after is always executed, whether the method completes the execution successfully or not. So the same way we are trying. Hmm.
Okay, do you mind to go back to the code again?
Can you be a bit louder?
Can you go back to the code again?
Just hold on for a second.
Can you hear me or not?
Can you please increase the volume? I think she went. So over here, performance aspect we have at the rate before annotation and at the rate after annotation we have. And at the rate after returning execution of void perform. Leave on over here. So if we execute this, let us have a look. Clear with this? Updated ABCD, purchase ticket, silence cell phones, performance, and then finally leave the hall. Now, next thing, if you observe,
Atika,
yes,
the advices are being executed as per alphabetical order, you said, but it need not be always the methods be in alphabetical order, right? So in that case, what we can do?
in that case, okay, you have to split it. You cannot give any ordering to the advice. Let's say, okay, you have to split it. You have to place it in a different aspect.
Okay, you mean to write like two aspects you are saying?
Yes, two aspects you have to write, and to the aspects you can give the order. To the
Okay,
aspects you can give the order, but to the advice, if you give the order, it is not implemented.
okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
Atika, can you hear me now?
yeah.
Okay, my concern was, hold on, can I see the code? Okay, because I've missed the earlier part. So what you have done, you had created a couple of methods in aspect class.
Hmm.
Okay, do you mind to go back to the code so I can ask the questions? Okay, now you have, yesterday class we have done before and after. So now this void perform is in performance test class is the method.
Hmm.
Okay. So by having couple of times before, how would they know among all these methods from purchase tickets or silent cell phone, which one has to go and execute first, then the perform method?
You cannot give any ordering to that because if you see the string specification, when two pieces of advice are defined in the same aspect and both need to run at the same joint point, the ordering is undefined. You cannot define it. In that case, okay, you have
So
to
the
place
out
it in separate aspect.
So in this scenario, the output would be any among those methods. It's not going to be defined, right?
Yes.
So I just see you doing override 1, 2, 3. What was it? I didn't hear you that time.
Uh, you cannot do that. Even though you are applying the order, it doesn't work. So over here it says you need to put them into this different aspect and control the order of execution by specifying the precedence, and this is done with the help of @order annotation given to aspects. The aspect returning the lower value from the order or order.get value has the higher precedence. That is, you need to order them. Like even though you're ordering, it is not going to work because you cannot apply any ordering on advices. So you need that this is like you need to create one aspect this way @order you have to give, and then again you need to create one more aspect B, and then again you have to move this method into this aspect.
So you mean we should create another aspect class in the
Yes.
same class same aspect Java? Like there is
Yes.
two classes in the same. Okay. And
And then
you give
again,
the order to the aspect.
yes, ordering can be given to aspects. It cannot be given to advice as per the Spring specification.
Okay. What is the purpose of doing it?
You want to do it in order, like first purchase ticket, second is cell phone. Like in the real-time applications, if you're doing, first you want login to be checked, then authorization, then okay, you want to check whether the user has entered some valid data in the cart or not. Like before the user clicks on the checkout button, first you will check whether you are a registered user or not. Second step, you will check whether you have login or not. Third, you should check whether you have any item in the cart or not. So all these things okay has to be executed in order. So that is the reason it is required.
So what you're saying is the order one, the performance aspect class, whatever the methods you have declared, the first two methods it says before, so it would not be in the same scenario every time. It could be the purchase ticket first or the silent cell phone first. It could be either or.
Yes.
Okay,
Based on the output,
got
what
you.
we see, like first P comes and then S comes. Now let us write one more method by name Z, starting with Z, so that okay will come to know whether it is executing in alphabetical order or not. Like wantedly we are starting with Z.
So you're saying that all the methods, whichever you have declared as before, but if the method name starts execute according to the alphabetical, is that what you're saying?
Yes, over here if you see it is executing based on the alphabetical order. From the output we can make out. Performance aspect, let us write something that starts with A. Yeah, it is following alphabetical order if you see.
Okay.
Specification
And
does
I had
not
two more.
mention this, but if you see the output, it is following the alphabetical order. Yeah, your question, please.
Okay. Yes. I had two more questions. The earlier spring class, yesterday's class, I've seen you have done class path XML application content, then content is equal to new, the same thing you have followed. So what is the difference between what you have done it today, which we've been doing it in a spring class? What is the difference?
This is
The
the
first
same.
line, line number 8.
Line. This like you don't find any difference. You are just reading the content from the Spring config file. Over here you have got Spring config file. Over here you are specifying that it is going to use annotation and it should scan the scom.example package in order to find the aspects. That is the reason you are specifying this. And then again you are specifying to the, you're mentioning to the Spring container that you're using AOP aspect J. So then the process of like what we have discussed, the client calling the target, and then the Spring container will create the proxy for the proxy object for the target, and it will weave the advice in between. So that will come into picture when you after you specify this.
Okay, got it.
This concept
Okay,
what
thank
we
you
have
very much.
discussed. Weaving concept yesterday we have discussed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, welcome. This concept what we have is client and then eating service, proxy object being created, and then your proxy is intercepting the call. It is calling the advice method. So it is calling the aspect, and then it is calling the respective advice methods. So this all is done only after this, like once you specify this AOP colon aspect J auto proxy, then this process will start. Now if you see, this is being repeated every now and then at the rate execution. So for this, what we can do is we can define a point-cut expression. So you can define a point-cut expression at the rate point-cut execution of the method in void perform. After you have defined this point-cut exception, you can directly write this way. Performance. So you can reuse it. Click run as Java application. One minute, it is not enabled. performance. Now next, if you see it over here, okay, one more would we have is at the rate around. At the rate around is before and after. Count the audience, let's say. Instead of using this, let us use the rate around. Proceeding join point. Simple, okay, whenever you around, okay, whenever you're using around, this method will be called before and after. So whatever the logic you want, you can write it over here, before logic, and jp.proceed will pass the control to the method, and then after the method is executed, then system.out.println, this is the after. Now let us test that. Before, performance, and then the after. So you should use the at the rate around annotation if you want that advice to be executed before and after the method execution. Clear with this? Is this clear? At the rate around, you should use the method when you want the same advice. You should use this at the rate around when you want the same advice to be executed before and after the method execution. So this is before execution of the method, and this is after the execution of the method. So let's say yes, the advice will be executed twice, one before and one after.
So you mean to say instead of writing before and after annotations, using we can annotation, but how it will check like this should be performed before and this should be performed after, Atika?
One minute.
Okay.
Now over here if you see, whenever like over here you are writing this ipjp.proceed. So whatever code is there above, it will be executed before, and when you call it, when this jp.proceed is invoked, at that point it will call the performance method. Now at this point it calls the performance method. Perform. Now it calls this method. After this method has completed the execution, then it calls the system.out.println. Clear? That is because of the call jp.proceed. Now if you see, okay, you can pass the parameters to that device over here, this one. Over here you see, okay, this is the account information. Like you want to validate the account. Before you withdraw it, first you want to check the validity of that account. Is it valid or not? So in order to check the validity of the account, you are passing the you are passing the account object to the advice. So when you want to pass the account object to the advice, here you would be using the another pointer designator, that is arguments of account. Clear with this? Now let's say over here you are having performance method string, let's say the name of the performance, string name, performance name. So now when you go to this performance aspect, public void perform you will specify, and the name of the performance for which you have purchased the tickets. So this way you will write it as args of name, and you have to mention over here. So string of name. So you have purchased the tickets for so and so performance. Is this clear? This one? Passing arguments? Let's say circus. Right click, run as Java application. Oh, there is some error. There is some error in the point get expression that we have created. Let us check that out.
Atika,
Hmm.
okay, you have passed the argument as a string name, but did you have declared the name value?
Here we are passing.
Huh?
Here we are passing directly. Directly we are passing over here. Over here it is we are missing with some saying we are missing one. Okay. So this is one. Okay, fine, fine. Okay, here it. So this is our regular perform. Over here you need to write and. I have written it with and args of name. Now this is correct. Let us go over here. Performance, right click, run as Java application. It did not invoke. There was some. And arguments of name. Now for if you're passing any arguments, then you should have two dots over here. What is the ticket for like the parameter name, whatever we are passing that is being printed. So you can pass the parameters and then you can access it in twice. Is this clear? If you're passing parameters, okay, then you need to pass two dots. Now second, okay, if you observe over here, you can pass the annotation. If in case you're creating an annotation in Java, and you can pass that annotation using @annotation symbol. And if you observe this audit, two objects you're passing, one is bean, the other one is auditable. So if you're passing more than one objects, you can specify that @target and @annotation auditable, and The argument names you can specify it separated by comma. So bean order table. This is how you do it. And when you're using this at the rate target, this is the target object on which this advice will be executed. That is, this is the target object on which the advice will be executed. Rest we And on the annotations, you can use the combination and, or, and not. Yeah, this one. Let's say your code throws an exception. Your code is throwing an exception. When the code throws an exception, after throwing method will be executed. So let's say over here the code is throwing the exception. Lights off, let's say. Throw new runtime exception. Lights off. So this is the exception that is being thrown. So whenever the exception is thrown, we are not going to handle the exception in our business class. Now again we go to our this, what do you say, recover from exception. So before and at the rate after. So when the exception is thrown, this method will be executed, recover from the exception. Or else, okay, let me write use generator. Or use backup, anything you can specify. So in order to recover from the exception, let's say, switch on the backup power supply or run on UPS, etc., whatever you specify. So now let us execute this. Right click, run as Java application. So over here you see, okay, you have purchased the tickets, performance, exception, switch on the backup power supply. So this method is executed. And then lights off, etc., rest of the stuff it is printing. Now if in case if you want to trap the exception, you can do it by using throwing. You can trap the specific exception, data access exception. So over here we can trap the specific exception. So the type of exception what we are throwing is runtime exception. And over here you can specify the name, comma, throwing. Now for this, okay, we are making use of the point cut. Point cut is equal to this and throwing is equal to this. So point cut is equal to, and then throwing is equal to yes. So for the point cut, okay, you just have to copy the name. So you just have to want this stuff. So updated purchase tickets, runtime exception, and then switch on the backup power supply. So over here it is coming and it is handling the exception. So ex dot get message. Clear with this? Any doubt on this? Is this clear, this one? So you can handle specific exception and then you can specify what to do. This we have done at the rate after this. Done. So you can even pass the arguments and what you say as well as exceptions, and then the return value also. For returning value, you will use return value. This one at the round example. Over here it will return the value, and based on the value that is returned, okay, you can perform some XYZ operation. Yeah, this one. Over here at the rate after returning, you can specify the returning value. Let's say the object is returning some boolean value or any value. In that case, okay, you can provide it as an argument to this function. Returning return value you can specify. So if in case if we do over here, like you have to do it on after returning. com dot so let us go over here, performance aspect, and over here instead of void you will add the string data type. Let us remove this throw clause, then return. Run as Java application. Fine. Oh, it is not printing clap. This is not being identified. is not identified. This is not being identified as an advice over here. Okay, let me check. Okay, we'll just check this in the next class. After returning, it is not being identified. Because it is identified, you will get the symbol. I don't know why it is not identified. So anyway, okay, I'll check this. We will check this in the next class. With this, okay, we will wind up for today. In the next class, okay, we will be starting with the Spring MVC layer. Okay, chalo, welcome. Bye bye.